All right. I'm crazy and I make things up. So when I have a feed that has 11 likes and 6 viewers, call me crazy, but I think something's wrong with that. So we reset because we know what they do, we know how they operate, and the censorship is always fun. Ugh. Ugh. Thank you, thank you. How are you?
Good, and you?
Oh, it was better till you brought this.
Everybody got to get one.
No, they don't. It's terrible.
Mine's was at
Won't you
home, so
just?
everybody
Can you
got
take care of mine too?
No, I don't want to take your food.
Come on.
I got enough.
All right, I'm calling your boss. I'm making a complaint. Have a great day. What's up, Matt? Welcome back, fake profile doxer. Let's see. Let's check this one. Joined 5 years ago with no subscribers and has my face as their profile picture. Because that makes sense, doesn't it? That seems like a real person. Not some obsessed weirdo, just a real normal person. Who does that? Seriously, if I don't matter and what I'm saying isn't true and dangerous to the system, why would anyone put that kind of effort into me? It's just fucking goofy, man. These bots are doing anything for a laugh. You know, if it was for a laugh, I mean, I guess that would make sense a little bit more, but when you're looking at it like it's been happening for over a decade. They've been doing this shit for over a decade. That gets a little weird. And if it was anything, if I was somebody talking about anything else, then maybe it would make sense. But when the foundation of this page is that we should kill pedophiles and that we should, eliminate the J control scheme and the genocide. Like, who opposes that enough that that's what they would do? It's embarrassing because they haven't even evolved their strategy. They don't need to. Yeah, they don't need to. It works. Since they control the amount of success I'm allowed to have, they never really have to worry about it. And on those off occasions where I'm getting 400, 500 viewers at a time, they either shut it down or they prevent it from existing after the fact. Like, they control the hub. It's like the train hub, right? Like, the train station controls the trains, what comes in and what goes out. It does target people's emotions, so to most weak-minded people, I guess it would work as rage bait as their main topic. I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with monitoring, what the best of the goyim are thinking. If I represent the biggest challenge to them intellectually, well, then taking notes and testing strategies and whatnot that they use on other truthers who are still bound to different things, it's a way of keeping track of things. They can't openly be like, oh yeah, we're monitoring what people's content and then interfering when we don't like it, and But if I started getting big enough and enough people start saying the same things I'm saying, they're absolutely going to adjust their strategy. They'll come from some different perspective, and I'll have to adjust. That's the thing that sucks for them, is I'm really good at adjusting on the fly. Years in sales will do that to you. and years of doing this. You know, I've been doing this for such a long time. They say you put 10,000 hours into something, you're an expert at it. Well, I'm a fucking expert. And you can see it in my resistance. That's the, like, that to me is the biggest tell-all. Not the information I find, which is, you know, it's all real basic shit. Anybody can find it if you want to look for it. But it's the response I get. You know, the fact that I even get such a response. The idea that anybody would waste that much time and energy on something that they disagree with and is completely wrong and, you know, doesn't matter. If it didn't matter, why would they care so much? To me, it makes more sense that the last thing they want is someone like me encouraging people to think and question things. I mean, look at the response, right? Trying to make a joke of it. I get paid, I get spanked, blah blah blah. That's what they do. This is how they you know, they try to distract. Oh, well, they wouldn't acknowledge it if it was true. Notice how they don't deny it. Instead of the bullshit acknowledgement, notice how he doesn't go, no, I'm actually here because I disagree with you on this because of this reason. I sit here and I spend hours, day after day after day, begging for your attention because you're wrong about which part again? It's not honesty. It's the best they have. You know, instead of addressing things in the most honest, sincere way, what can he say? What could he possibly say to justify such a weird behavior? You know, this isn't something the rest of us do. Now here we go. See, look it. If I tell the truth, they have their excuse already ready. It's my fault. Because if they were to actually tell the truth as to why they're fucking here, what motivates them, I'm just going to lie and call them a bot. Or I'm just going to deny it, ignore it, and call them a bot. Even if that was the case, wouldn't they still want their truth out there? I'm going to read it. It's going to be in print. So whether I acknowledge it or not, you know, the other 19 people that are here, well, they're going to see it. And anybody else after well, no, the comments usually don't show up. But like, this is their cop-out strategy. It's my fault. They can say all this other dumb shit that I'll disagree with and call them a bot on. But the one part where they acknowledge what motivates them to be here in the first place, well, not that part. No, I'm not going to say that because you just won't believe me. Think about how dumb that presentation is. Think about the stupidity that they're unknowingly admitting to. I mean, maybe they do know it. I don't really know, but it's just so stupid. Who do you think is behind this? 15 viewers. That's not a lot. But again, this is instead of acknowledging the direct sort of question or accusation, they just keep, you know, playing dumb games. Let's see. Now here we go. You cherry pick. Now it's another excuse that I'm doing. You cherry pick comments. That's your problem. You never engage any actual tangible comments. I've read every comment that's been written so far. When they start, you know, rapid fire, it's hard to keep up. But so far, you've had multiple chances to not make an excuse. And yet every single time you keep making the excuse. Isn't that weird? All you have to do is be like, I'm here because I disagree with you on this, and this is why. Why is that the one thing you won't say because of my response to it? Like, do you not understand how stupid you sound? No, shitty content doesn't bring in over 100 people in 10 minutes. But even if it was, that wouldn't matter. Wouldn't matter. Lots of shitty content. People fucking chopping vegetables and shit brings in those kind of viewers. There's all kinds of shit that they want us to focus on. Have you ever rewatched your streams? If you was, you'd see that I'm, again, won't address the simple thing here. It's yet again, it's my fault because I'm going to deny the things that you're saying now. I'm going to talk shit about the things that you're saying now. But that doesn't matter. Just that one specific thing where you acknowledge why you're here, well, I just won't do that one. Because of you, it's your fault. This is how stupid the opposition is. And this is like typical, if you open this is the exact thing, right? Look at the symmetry here. When the UN starts asking questions in 2022 as to like, wait, I thought this was supposed to be a temporary occupation. You guys have been here 75 fucking years. You've been killing people. Like, what's going on here? This seems much more like colonization. We need to open the books and see what your records say and show. Israel's response to that was, if you open up the books on Israel, you demonize Israel. Now, that's me personally. I say, if you open the books on me, you're not going to find anything that that demonizes me. Something that makes me so embarrassed I wouldn't want anybody to know about it. And that doesn't exist. Yet Israel, who supposedly is the good guy, says if you look at what they've done so far, it's going to demonize them. And they're so stupid, they literally thought that was a good response. Like, yeah, see, if you look at what we do, you're going to make us the bad guy. Like, that's how stupid these inbred fucks are. This dumbass keeps responding to why he can't explain why he's here because of me. I'm going to read the comments where he keeps explaining, where he keeps making the excuses, but I'll just deny what he says if he says the truth as to why he's here. Like, think about how fucking stupid that is. You open up the books in Israel, you demonize Israel, stupid. Now let's see if we get any more good stuff. If I were the opposition, then who are your comrades? Yeah, that makes sense. Your parents are on the phone with your relatives embarrassed, so they're lying, blah, blah. Like, this is the best that this dumbass can do. You should do a podcast with Hunter Biden. Oh, you guys, I said Hunter Biden. Right? Hunter Biden, right? Trump, all right, guys? This is the best they can do. And you know, it's up to you whether you see it, but if you ask yourself, if I'm truly wrong and what I'm saying doesn't matter, then what is this effort? What is this continuing, like, it's not even a distraction. To me, this is further evidence of what I'm talking about. This shit doesn't exist on the person chopping the vegetables feed. This shit doesn't exist on a lot of truther feeds. Holy shit. On north to south chemtrail. God damn it. Right there. Those never exist. 99% of the time they go west to east, because Selfridge Air Force Base is about 40 miles east of here. Directly south of here, about 15 minutes, 15 miles, is Detroit Metro Airport. But that plane is way too high to be going to Metro Airport and landing. You can usually see those planes landing. I can't tell you the last time I saw a north to south plane here at this exact spot. And they are chalking the shit out of us today. This is supposed to be a clear blue sky day. And yet, not so much anymore. I can't tell you how weird this looks to me. Like to my eyes, who are so used to seeing it a certain way, to see that north-south chemtrail is just fucking fascinating to me. Wow. It never does this. Oh, here we go. I can. Want me to tell you why I'm here? I want to see how many times you crack a joint and how bad your cough becomes. You're poisoning yourself, and I want to see you stop it or not. So the reason why you're here every day trying to distract, not engaging in the we should kill pedophiles thing, not talking about we should end the genocide, is because you're concerned with my health. That makes sense to you? Wow. That's about as dumb as thinking those are just clouds. They literally just came out of a plane. You know, clouds don't make long, straight, stringy lines, but we literally just saw the plane leave that in the sky. But hey, yeah, you know, chemtrails aren't a thing. Unless you actually look it up, then it's a really well-documented thing. We'll even do it for you real quick. So we'll put chemtrails and into the Wikipedia, and immediately chemtrail conspiracy theory pops up, and go figure. It's a page that can't be edited. First sentence says, the chemtrail conspiracy theory is the erroneous belief that long-lasting condensation trails left in the sky by high-flying aircraft are actually chemtrails consisting of chemicals or biological agents sprayed for nefarious purposes undisclosed to the public. First sentence. Second sentence. Believers in this conspiracy theory say that while normal contrails dissipate relatively quickly, which they do, contrails that linger must contain additional substances, which they must. Those who subscribe to, like, if you go to the air show, it's not like those are just broken ass planes who need an adjustment that are leaving all that sky writing in the plane or in the sky. The only time planes, you know, for the most part when I was growing up and for most of the time left something in the sky for a long period of time was on purpose. We all knew that. We all knew that was skywriting. You know, we all knew that some sort of agent had to be put into it to make it stay that way, because otherwise planes don't do that. If your fucking car left a big old smoke stack of a horizontal smokestack down the road as you drove, you'd take it to the mechanic, and they'd be like, "Ooh, that's not a good thing." But hey, all of these lines that just keep going the same directions over and over. Oh, here comes another one, east to west today, coming directly from Selfridge Air Force Base. That's nothing. Those are just clouds. Look. That plane just happens to be running through an area that is making clouds as we speak. Anyway, we're on the second sentence in this chemtrail conspiracy theory. Must contain additional substances. Oh, so now we're on the third sentence. My bad. Those who subscribe to the theory speculate that the purpose of the chemical release may be solar radiation management, weather modification, psychological manipulation, human population control, biological or chemical warfare, or testing of biological or chemical agents on a population, and the trails are causing respiratory illnesses and other health problems. What? So in the third sentence, they're already giving examples of it. What is solar radiation management? Solar radiation modification, or solar geoengineering, is a group of large-scale approaches to reduce global warming by increasing the amount of sunlight that is reflected away from the Earth and back to space. Because, you know, the Earth is on average about 1.5 degrees, 2 to 2.5 degrees warmer than it used to be. So we're in a global warming crisis. In a crisis because of 1.5 to 2 degrees. I think it'll say 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit, 1.5 degrees Celsius. Because, they've been keeping track of temperatures for thousands of years. So they know that you know, every single day on average is 1.5 degrees warmer than. So stupid. It's so stupid. But anyway, reflecting the amount of sunlight that is increasing the amount of sunlight that is reflected away from Earth and back into space. It is not intended to replace efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but rather to complement them as a potential way to limit global warming. The most researched method is stratospheric aerosol injection. Well, what is stratospheric aerosol injection? In which small reflective particles would be introduced into the upper atmosphere to reflect sunlight. Other approaches include marine cloud brightening, which would increase the reflectivity of clouds over the oceans, or constructing a space shade or a space mirror to reduce the amount of sunlight reaching Earth. Oh, okay. Well, that sounds like what I'm seeing, but that's not what I'm seeing. So when the planes come through on the crystal clear blue day, and they leave a bunch of trails in the sky, and then the trails separate and look like they're getting pulled apart like dirt in water. That's not what's happening here. That's not what this is. So stratospheric aerosol injection is a proposed method of solar geoengineering to reduce global warming. This would introduce aerosols into the stratosphere to create a cooling effect via global dimming and increasing albedo, which occurs naturally from volcanic winter. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change concludes that it is the most researched solar geoengineering method that could limit warming to below 1.5 degrees Celsius or 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit. However, like other solar geoengineering approaches, stratospheric aerosol injection would do so imperfectly, and other effects are possible, particularly if used in a suboptimal manner. This is the best. Mikhail Budkayo is believed to have been the first in 1974 to put forth the concept of artificial solar radiation management with stratospheric sulfate aerosols if global warming ever became a pressure issue. Well, that's not the 1894 guy. Maybe that's with the other thing. Let's look up the other thing. Oh, wait. Shit. I'm back to stratospheric aerosol injection. I just wanted to see background and mechanism. An aerosol is a suspension of fine solid particles or liquid droplets in air or other gas. Aerosols can be generated from natural or human causes. The term aerosol commonly refers to the mixture of particles in the air and not to the particulate matter alone. Examples of natural aerosols are fog, mist, or dust. Examples of human-caused aerosols include particulate air pollutants, mist from the discharge of hydroelectric dams, irrigation mist, perfume from atomizers, smoke, dust, sprayed pesticides, and medical treatments for respiratory illness. Let's see something. Let's go to marine cloud brightening and see what that has to say. Marine cloud brightening, also known as marine cloud seeding, well, wait, what the hell? Is a way to make stratocumulus clouds over the sea brighter, thus reflecting more sunlight back into space in order to limit global warming. It is one of two such methods that might feasibly have a substantial climate impact, but is lower in the atmosphere than stratospheric aerosol injection. Let's see what cloud seeding says. Cloud seeding is a type of weather modification that aims to change the amount or type of precipitation, mitigate hail, or disperse fog. The usual objective is to increase rain or snow either for its own sake or to prevent precipitation from occurring in days afterward. Now look at these draw rings that they've given us. The plane is dropping seeds into the clouds, and that makes it rain. Have you ever heard of airplane hail mitigation programs? You ever heard of that before? Have you ever heard that a hailstorm is imminent, so the United States government is sending up a bunch of planes to cloud seed to mitigate the hail? Have you ever heard of that before? Because apparently in this 50s and 60s, this was a very common thing. So here you have the Beech 18 used for dry ice cloud seeding, early post-war era US. So that's what, after the 40s, I would assume? Is that what we'll say there? After the 40s, they started using this plane in particular. Then we have the Lockheed cloud seeding. We have the Lockheed 18 cloud seeding from Wagga Airport in 1958 in Australia. Which is strange because, like, you know, you wouldn't think of Australia being the leader in anything, really. You know, as much as they're a first world country, they're like a distant second place. But hey, let's keep going. Here is the T-28 Trojan Rainmaker in 1960 in the U.S. Here is the Curtiss P-40 Rainmaker in 1964, now at Yanks Air Museum. Here is the Curtiss P-40N N1232N Weather Modification Company cloud seeding plane. Below it is the Harvard Hail Defense 1964 in Canada. So not only was it commonplace for the government to be able to, even Harvard had its own hail defense system. Has anyone ever heard of that before? Operation Popeye, yep. I mean, there's I've said this many, many times. There's this great, amazing documentary called Woodstock. Woodstock 1969. And basically there were two camera crews that were tasked with filming Woodstock. They walked around Woodstock for 3 days and just filmed what they saw. And the final documentary is like 4 hours long. But it's more like 8 hours long. They literally show both camera crews' viewpoints side by side the whole time. So it's two movies in one. And it's amazing. It's such an amazing capture of this pivotal moment in history, right? But at one point in the film, there's some Vietnam vets that are at Woodstock, and they run up to the camera crew and they say, "Look, see that plane? It's gonna rain here soon. They're cloud seeding. They're dropping whatever off in the sky, and it's gonna rain here soon." And you can see this big giant war-looking plane leaving this thick-ass trail behind it. I wonder if that shit's on YouTube. Woodstock documentary. The documentary is here. Chemtrails. Let's see. Whole bunch of no such thing as chemtrails. There's no such thing. It's crazy that I can't find this. Let's see. Maybe if I look it up on the Google machine.
If you've had kidney cancer, liver cancer, or ulcerative colitis, those cancers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, later, huh? Right, later. Okay. I got something to say. I want to know how come the fascist pigs have been seeding the clouds. Right. There's the airplanes going over twice with all the smoke coming out of them seeding the clouds. And I want to know, why that stuff is going down, man. And why doesn't the media report that stuff to the people, man? I'm telling you what happened. The planes come over an hour and a half and they're seeding all the clouds. It's the second time they did this of unknown origin were seeding the clouds over the. I don't know what they hope to prove, man.
What's going on here?
I wonder if that's the whole thing. I could have sworn they showed the actual plane doing it too. Well, at least you saw it. Woodstock weather.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, later, huh? Right, later. I guess something to say. I want to know how come the fascist pigs
I guess that is something.
with all the smoke coming out of them seeding the clouds, and I want to know, why that stuff is going down, man. And why doesn't the media report that stuff to the people, man?
I mean, it's about as obvious as it gets. I mean, I really don't know what else people need to see. Like, it's just like the Naftali Bennett video. What else do you need to see before you understand? Like, it's all true. It's obviously true. By the way, if you're watching, like, share, and sub. So we were here. We went to. Let's look up weather modification real quick. Weather modification is the act of intentionally manipulating or altering the weather. But anyway, before I go on, again, have any of you ever heard of the cloud dispersers, the hail dispersers? You ever heard of the Harvard hail defense? I wonder if they have a page for that. Oh, nope, no titles with that page. With that in there, Harvard hail defense. Let's see, search with similar. Nope. It's just in the cloud seeding page. So the most common form of weather modification is cloud seeding, which increases rainfall or snowfall, usually for the purpose of increasing the local water supply. Oh, that's it now? They're just trying to increase the local water supply, I guess. Weather modification can also have the goal of preventing damaging weather, such as hail or hurricanes. Well, I've been wondering why they haven't been doing that now for decades. Oh, well over a decade, maybe 2 decades. Why is it, if they have the ability to disperse hurricanes and save all those rich people from getting their shit kicked in, why don't they do it? This technology is old as fuck. Yep. This connection is bad because of me. I only live in Metro Detroit area where it's flat everywhere and I'm surrounded by cell phone towers. Plus I have a T-Mobile network. I mean, why else would my feed be screwed up? Yeah, it's my fault. if you could see how many cell phone towers are like within a mile of me. But it's my fault. It's my fault. Such as hail or from occurring, or of provoking damaging weather against an enemy as a tactic of military economic warfare, like Operation Popeye, where clouds receded to prolong the monsoon in Vietnam. See, this is what I mean, like, how is it you tell yourself the thing doesn't exist when it clearly exists? Like, there were a bunch of people that jumped on and said stupid shit. Chemtrails. Oh, look at those are just clouds. It's just clouds coming out of planes. That makes sense. But it's the same sort of stupidity as the fluoride thing, right? You believe that the reason they put fluoride in 72% of the Americans' drinking water is for our benefit. They're trying to prevent cavities. They're trying to fuck with the dental industry by preventing cavities. This synthetic fluoride that comes from fertilizer production, it's the byproduct of fertilizer production. It's a toxic waste byproduct. It can't be just disposed of in a regular fashion. They put it in our drinking water because the only effect it has on humans is it makes their teeth stronger. As long as they use it at 0.4 milligrams per million or whatever. 0.4 parts per million, I don't know. Anything over that, well, then it becomes kind of dangerous. So we gotta not do that. This is a much more of a slow kill. There's literally no other reason they give for putting synthetic fluoride in our water, other than this idea that it helps prevent cavities. Though, according to the Cochrane website, which is basically the only real major government-sponsored study on this. You would think putting toxic waste into drinking water would have extensive fucking research, right? There would be extensive research. There would be an obvious game plan that you could follow along and be like, okay, I see why they're doing this. This makes sense. I wanted to look this up. I had questions and concerns, but now I don't anymore. That's how you think it is. But it's not. The only real study that was done was this Cochrane study. In the Cochrane study, depending on if you're reading Wikipedia's version of it or the website's version, Wikipedia says that the fluoride might have a 26% chance of preventing cavities in adult teeth. Whereas the Cochrane study itself said that it might have a 3% chance of preventing cavities in adult teeth. Like this is nonsensical. This is fucking stupidity at its finest. If I gave you a parachute, we were on a plane and I gave you a parachute and I said, all right, you got to jump now. Here's a parachute. It might have a 3% to 26% chance of opening. None of you would jump. None of you. You'd be like, my life is on the line. They're telling you that the reason they put toxic waste into the drinking water is because it might have a 3 to 26% chance of working. Now, whether it's 3 or whether it's 26% is literally like nothing. That's chance. If you do things 10 times, you have a chance of it, you know, working that way around 26% of the time. So to say that it prevented, and it's even an impossible thing, right? Because you can't say that one person isn't going to get cavities in their teeth, but because you put the fluoride in, and then retest them from a young age to see whether they would have gotten cavities or not had they had the fluoride or didn't have it. Like it's just like vaccines, right? They can't say that if you got this vaccine, well, then you wouldn't have gotten sick, especially because they say that vaccines don't have a guarantee of preventing you from getting sick. That's why everybody that gets their vaccine is still so scared of people that don't. It seems like it's fucking broken logic, right? It seems like it's stupid. Why would you get something that you know has the potential of giving you polio? They've just renamed it GBS, Guillain-Barré syndrome, because, you know, it's supposed to protect you, but it doesn't really protect you. And the thing is, again, all of this information I have is straight from YouTube, or straight from, not from YouTube, from Wikipedia. Straight from the sources that they want us to know. They, being Israel, who controls Wikipedia,
ISraeliNationalNews.com.
In conjunction with My Israel, has arranged instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example,
because, you know, the #1 source of information in the world didn't know how to edit their pages until the Israelis, the future Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, shows up, former as of now, but at the time, future Prime Minister. Him and his team show up to teach them. We're teaching them. Teaching them how to edit in Wikipedia, because they didn't know how to do it till these guys showed up. They were already the #1 source of information in the world, but they just didn't know how to edit things the right way until Israel showed up and taught them how to edit. I wish he would give us an example of what he means by teaching us how to, or teaching Wikipedia how to edit.
if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
I came here to learn.
Somebody searches something in Gaza, they want to be there to influence what is written and how it's written so that it has a balanced and Zionist perspective. Or so it's balanced and Zionist in nature. Like, why would anybody think anything weird about that, man, right? Why would anyone think it's strange that a future Prime Minister of Israel would be at an instruction day to teach the #1 source of information in the world how to edit things so that it has a Zionist perspective? Why would anyone think that's weird, right? What the hell? Why Free Palestine? I'm sort of with you on the Free Palestine thing, but again, it's such a sensitive matter because I don't know what Free Palestine even means. You know, rid Palestine of the J control scheme. Maybe that's more accurate, but I think the real thing is that we need to end the J cult that pulls all those strings, that's committing the genocide. Because you can't say Free Palestine to Lebanon and Syria and Iran and all these other places. They're all victims of the same bad guy. And Israel is just the invisible house. Israel isn't a thing. It's just the name that they give the place. But it's the they that is the real problem. The supremacist cult that inhabits those ideals. That pushes those ideals. That is what the real problem is. So as much as I'm with you on the Free Palestine thing, I think it's much more about end the cult of Jayism, which is, why we're all victims of this. It's the Palestinians right now are just the most obvious and worst examples of it. But we're all victims of it. They steal our money to do that shit. We're victims of it. We're stuck in this position where we see this atrocious genocide taking place, and we're going, hey, we should stop this. I don't want my money going there. I want to be able to talk about this foreign country without getting arrested. I want to, what the fuck are you talking about? And the people that are supposedly elected to represent us aren't listening at all. They're doing the opposite. And now we're being distracted by the Epstein shit again. Hey everybody, let's focus on a dead guy. They're going to interview Ghislaine. Are they saying they haven't interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell yet? Ghislaine? She wasn't the number one person interviewed? What do you mean they're going to interview her and then potentially, entice her to speak up? Israel is not doing the evil. Hamas is. Yeah, because you're stupid. Right? Because let's just say October 7th was real. It's not. No Israelis died on October 7th and none of them were taken hostage. It's literally all theater bullshit. It's false flag to the core. And it's as obvious a false flag as you'll ever see. Prove it happened. Show me the video that proves what you're saying. The only proof that you've been given about any of this is a list of names of the 1,139 that were supposedly 1,139 people in Israel that were killed. They never say 1,139 Israelis killed. No, they are people in Israel, because what's often left out of the story is that Israel bragged that almost immediately they killed around 1,500 Hamas within the Israeli borders. So the narrative of around 1,100 or even 1,139 people killed in Israel is a very true narrative. It's just how it's being presented and how you're taking it in that's being manipulated. But it's 100% not true. And there's literally no proof. Like, I tried looking it up one day, a couple weeks ago. I looked up on YouTube, Hamas attacks Israel. And, the first video that pops up is new footage showing Hamas attacking Israel. And it's literally like nothing. It's what, other than a few obviously staged things, the rest of it is just bullshit. The idea that people were at a music festival, gunfire erupted, and in order to escape, they jumped out of their cars and started running across a barren field, where there's no trees or anything like that. They got out of their armor, their 90-mile-an-hour armor, so they could run across an open field. Literally, there's no proof of it. The narrative that Hamas used paragliders to breach the defenses, if you thought that was really a stupid, goofy narrative, well, just so you know, Hamas released a video showing them practicing using paragliders. Huh. Well, it's a good thing they did that, huh? Where did they release the video? What platform did just Hamas use? Like, this is the bullshit that you're given, and you're supposed to believe it? Hamas is desperate to try to prove that the bullshit narrative that we're given is true. Hey, we hear that people are questioning whether we had paragliders. Here, it's a good thing we took a video of ourselves practicing this that we can now release to the public all these months later to prove our narrative. You've literally been shown a list of names. You've been given a list of names by the Israelis for the people that are supposedly dead. What you won't find is videos of 1,100 fucking funerals taking place in the next day, 2 days, 3 days, which is, paramount for them. Here in the States, when they die, their insistence on being buried within 72 hours of death, and usually seemingly within 24 hours of death, it overrides all legal ramifications, all protocols. Even if it's a murder, doesn't matter. They just override it. You should have seen bodies. 1,100 bodies is a lot. There should have been a lot of footage showing bodies, for sure. The most secured border on Earth. We can detect a cat walking up to it and yet somehow missed hundreds of fighters. Exactly. Look, we got actually good people here today. What's going on? The IDF knew it was going to be attacked. They pulled out all the soldiers just weeks before the attack and then stood down for 7 hours on October 7th. Well, I mean, for weeks leading up to it, there was a blockade that was around the Gaza Strip. And not only were they were going into the Gaza Strip and pulling out all Israelis, not letting Israelis in and not letting the Gazans leave. This was all well orchestrated, and it coincided with the political bullshit, where the people from January of 2023, every Saturday supposedly protested because the executive branch and the judicial branch weren't quite getting along. So the people were out protesting. And of course, when they block the freeway with a bonfire, they're called freedom fighters by our news media. When black people do it because unarmed black people keep getting shot by police, they're thugs. When the Israelis do it, they're freedom fighters. But as a form of like long-term protest, oh look, that plane's not leaving anything. That one's going to Detroit Metro Airport though, south of here. As a form of protest, tens of thousands of Israelis in July, August, September signed petitions saying that if, I don't know, some sort of false flag thing happens and then subsequent genocide were to happen after that, we refuse to partake in it because the executive branch and the judicial branch aren't getting along. Tens of thousands. And when this was brought up, you had Jake Sullivan, what's his position? High-ranking government member Jake Sullivan, promising that for every two people that deserted, basically, it's a crime to desertion. For every one that left, we would send two in their place. And this was all leading up to October 7th. September 30th, they signed the visa waiver program. They put Israel into the visa waiver program, which made it so Israelis could travel to and from the United States without having any visa issues to worry about. Even though Israel failed to meet the requirements to be put into the program. And they were put into the program with the promise that by either the beginning or end of Passover next year, I can't remember which one it is. It's either, I think it's the beginning. By the beginning of Passover that year, 6 months to the day, worked out to happen to be Passover, that they would fix the problem, which was, they're allowed to come here. We should be allowed to go there, travel unmolested, and be free. But they just refused to do that, especially with anybody that was Palestinian. And they openly said, you know, we're not going to fix this. We're not going to change this. But the United States was like, oh, don't worry. I'm sure something will come up to distract the people anyway. But they were put into the visa waiver program 7 days before this bullshit false flag. I want to read what this guy was saying because he's right. Egypt came out and said they wanted the IDF to well, they warned, but see, that's again, so Candace Owens has said that Israel was warned by Egypt and that Hamas had released a statement saying they wanted to take 200 hostages. Really? Really? They released a statement saying they wanted to take almost the exact amount of hostages that they ended up taking. Do you understand how ridiculous that is? I mean, it's you know, it's just as ridiculous as every aspect of it. Do you guys understand? So on November 7th, 2023, based on a hunch I had, I decided to go to the Israel-Hamas War 2023 Wikipedia page. And I wanted to see what the first edit of that page was. And back then, all those 2 years ago, you could actually do it. You could go to a Wikipedia page, click edit history, and then it would just give you the option to click back until you got to the first page. And that's all I did. Till you got to the first edit. And so I went to the page and I clicked on, you know, edit history and went all the way back to find out that the first edit on that page, not saying when that page was actually created, but the first edit on that page was made at 6:22 a.m. October 7th, 2023 local time. Funny thing is, the unprecedented, unknown, completely random, unprepared for attack happened at 6:30 a.m. local time, October 7th, 2023. So 8 minutes before the unknown attack happened, a Wikipedia page was created about it. And over the next, I read for the next 3 hours worth of edits, around 3.5 hours. So till it was 9:30 local time. And there was a group of like 5 people that were in charge of editing the page and laying it out. And they basically laid out what was going to happen for the next couple days in that first 3 hours. And they talked about how they killed 1,500 Hamas, and they talked about, you know, what Bibi was going to do and all this other shit well before it happened. They also claimed that Hamas launched 5,000 rockets within the first 20 minutes. So quickly did it all take place, in fact, that the most heavily surveilled area in the region wasn't able to it all happened too fast for them to capture it on film anywhere, to show any sort of proof that it happened. There are a couple of videos that are very, very suspect. There's one video that supposedly shows 3 explosions, and it's literally like the explosion takes place at an intersection each time. And they go in, boom, 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 like they were planned bombs. And guess what? Nobody died. You know, there are a couple of videos that are really suspect that they show, but nothing definitive. But 5,000, how much do you think 5,000 rockets cost? I've been asking this one for a long time, and nobody ever seems to be able to give me an answer on this one. How much does 5,000 rockets cost? Again, look at the comment section. Look at how many desperate fake profiles are trying to get me to stop talking about this. Why, if it happened and it's this great tragedy and it makes Israel look like the victim, why is anybody in here trying to get me to stop reading about it, stop talking about it? Seems strange, right? Especially if you're an American whose money is being stolen to give to these people. $3.8 billion a year, one lump sum payment given in the first month of the fiscal year, every single year for the 10 years that the thing is signed, and then they'll sign a new one. Trump will sign a new one in 2027 or 2028. 2026, 2027, or 2028. I'm not sure. I think it might even be 2026, where I can almost guarantee that Trump will give Israel $100 billion for the next 10 years, giving them $10 billion a year. But right now they get $3.8 billion a year as a base lump sum. They actually get a lot more money throughout the year. Every time they're said to buy weapons from us, U.S. grants actually pay for those weapons. They steal your money. What American is going to be like, this guy is terrible? He's talking about stopping giving our money to Israel to kill people. What the hell's wrong with him? I love how people are dumbass thing are saying you can't prove it. Instead of actually saying something that matters, they're doing the same thing the other guy did earlier. Where instead of actually addressing why he's here, what has him so motivated to try to interfere and talk shit and all this stuff. Who is this person and what did I do to them? Show us where the Guy Williams hurt you. And they just can't answer that question. But they're gonna, they'll say dumb shit. Even if you found the exact rocket cost, give me the exact cost. See, instead of saying what I wouldn't do or wouldn't think, why don't you say it first? And I think you're too stupid to realize what's being said here, because no matter what the rockets cost, whether it's $100 or $1,000, $10,000, whatever rockets, and these aren't just, like, if you think about how expensive fireworks are, understand that rockets cost a significant amount more to make. So for Hamas to have 5,000 rockets, where did they get the money to buy all those rockets? Where did they get enough rocket launchers to be able to launch 4 per second for 20 minutes? Every second, 4 rockets were launched for 20 minutes. If you saw a fireworks show where they were lighting off 4 big-ass fireworks every 4 seconds, you would just be blown away. That's like finale shit. Not only did they launch 5,000 rockets in a 20-minute period, 4 rockets per second, the Iron Dome shot them all down. Wah, 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 wah. But how much do you think all those rockets cost, along with all the rocket launchers to launch them, in the area where they can't even get lumber to rebuild what Israel has destroyed, because Israel deems it lumber to be a threat that could be used, made into a weapon and used against Israel. So they don't even let lumber in, food, medicine, none of that. But somehow they were able to bypass the incredible Israeli network and sneak in 5,000 rockets and X amount of rocket launchers. And I guess it's Iran that did that. And then since then, Iran has literally done jack squat to help the Palestinians. They supplied them this barrage and this ability to initiate the genocide against them, because by this point everybody knows if you shoot rockets into Israel, they just get shot down by the Iron Dome, and then Israel responds tenfold, hundredfold. Like, this has been a proven thing. Any Palestinian that shoots a rocket into Israeli airspace is a fucking idiot. Hates their people. Because you're 100% guaranteeing that Israel is going to launch an assault that kills hundreds of your people, and that your one little measly rocket isn't going to do shit. It's going to get shot down. But it's going to provide that justification for Israel to happen to attack you in the exact spot that they happen to have, planned on attacking. They were just waiting for I don't know, somebody to shoot a single rocket in their direction. And then they hit 10 schools, hospitals, you know, churches and all this shit because, of course, there are tunnels underneath it. And they already had these targets pre-planned. This all takes place within hours of the original missile being launched. I mean, it's clear to me that Israel launches the missiles into Israeli airspace to agreed upon coordinates so that they have such a high success rate. Because what we were shown was that when Iran supposedly attacked, those rockets got through. The Iron Dome seemingly failed for some strange reason. But why anyone would shoot rockets into Israeli airspace instead of directly at Israel, again, it just doesn't make any sense. Other than it's Israel doing it to provide the provocation, the justification for their pre-planned assault. And I can show you guys that happening way more than you can show me that literally anything happened on October 7th. Anything that they said happened on October 7th. Any proof that any sort of Israelis... And one of the videos you'll see, because apparently there are all of these like storage containers placed around Israel, I guess. And whenever the people are in danger, they all huddle together in one of these dark storage containers because that keeps them safe. I mean, I guess it would in certain instances, but it's also a great way to get a whole bunch of people killed. But what the video will show you is one of these containers. It's from like if the tree was the container, the video is from like right here. Okay? And so it shows you there are two Hamas soldiers with machine guns standing on either side of it, and then another Hamas soldier takes a grenade and throws it in the thing, and then they run off and the video ends. And you're supposed to believe that instead of just shooting all those Israelis that are right there, they're gonna just throw in a grenade and run away and not film it, not show you the explosion, even the grenade exploding. No aftermath, nothing like that. Just believe. You didn't even see any Israelis in the fucking thing. They didn't show you any Israelis running into that storage container. But you're supposed to believe that it's chock full of Israelis and the Hamas threw a grenade in there. And that's literally the best that they could come up with. Missile interceptors from various missile defense systems cost anywhere from $50,000 to $15 million per missile. 5,000 rockets, missiles of assorted types would roughly cost $18.5 million. So penniless Hamas, who can't even, get food or anything like that into their country or into their area, they got $18.5 million to buy some rockets to initiate a genocide, because they don't have like a second wave of attacks. They haven't been able to do shit since. And of course, like I said, Iran completely bailed on them, since Iran was the one that funded it. You have to be a dumbass to believe that shit. And they guy the grenade back like 5 times. It was amazing video. Glad you're finally admitting there's a video. No, that's not what the video shows, you absolute dumbass. Again, why didn't they just shoot the people? They literally would have been shooting fish in a barrel. It's so stupid. But this is the best that you guys can do. This is the video that popped up when I looked up Hamas attacks Israel, October 7th. This was the #1 video new footage shows. And not one piece of footage shows, like there'll be, videos of like Israelis hiding behind a tree, and the video will be like right here. And that's what you see. That's supposed to be proof that there was some sort of slaughter taking place. It's such an embarrassing joke. And it fits in with the narrative, like this is just what they do. This is how the whole thing worked. The Holocaust is the same way. If you have to retrain yourself to watch things, but if you go back and you watch Holocaust videos, and you teach yourself to look at the background of the video, not the foreground. I mean, look at the foreground, look at the liberation videos, and you won't see a single happy person. Everybody's just walking. They're being liberated from these horrible concentration camps. It's Stockholm Syndrome. No. Not 100% of the people. Not a single person is like, yes, we're free, you guys. They're hugging and kissing and thankful. Yay, we finally are liberated. Not a single person. They forgot to do that when they were making those videos. They were so concerned with trying to make you feel sorry and sad that any sort of expression of joy was off limits. But if you look at the backgrounds, especially of the closer up kind of things, you won't see anything happening in the background. And so many of the times they show you the viewpoint from here. If you do it from here, then all you see are a couple of rows of heads, and you can believe however many people they want you to believe are there. If the video is from up here, and you can count the heads for yourself, well, that's a whole different thing. And that's what they show you when they actually want you to see how many people were there. And you'll see it time and time again where the video is from here, from this perspective, where they're trying to convince you that there were more people than there actually was. There were only 3 million of them in Europe at the time. How 6 million died is a mystery to me, especially when of that 3 million, so many escaped here somehow. And this is all the information they want you to know. They want you to know. Look at how, again, there is no argument for what I'm saying. They're talking about how I won't do this or I won't do. They're not actually arguing any of the points made. Look at how stupid all this is. I mean, it's just pointless. This is why shit gets ignored. But I do want it to be here. If they were any sort of threat or any sort of negativity in some way, I would just block them. But I keep them here because they provide such a great example of what I'm always talking about. If I was in fact wrong about any of this shit, they would simply address it. You're wrong about this, and this is how, this is why. It wouldn't be this cowardly, I would tell you you're wrong, but you'll just deny it. I'll say this thing where you'll probably deny that too, but I'm comfortable saying this thing, but I won't say any sort of real stuff, any real validation, any reasoning, I'm not going to say those things. No. It's just a fucking silly joke, man. And it shows you how undeniably correct I am in all of my claims and assertions. If there was anything that could be said, they'd say it. If I start getting some elements of something wrong, and they're smart enough to know about it, which usually they're not, but if I get a number wrong or a date, they're the first ones to say so. They clearly pay attention to what's being said. But explain why they're here, what motivates them to be here. The one guy said he's here because he's concerned about my health. Are you fucking kidding me? I hope all of you die. Like, I hope all of you fucking Israeli trolls die horribly. I don't want any, I'm not concerned at all about your health. If you could experience a life full of cancer in a very short period, that would be amazing. Okay. But this is the cowardly bullshit that comes my way, because what can they possibly do? Oh, we have a chemical engineer here. Juicy Picklehead is a chemical engineer now. Oh, come on. How stupid do you have to be to believe any of this shit? Let's see. The guy that's been here for 9 years, been a YouTube member for 9 years and has 0 subscribers. Gosh, that is believable if I've ever seen something. This is what comes my way. The chemical engineer. You can't find the music. It's easy to find. www.the-bilderberg-group.com. It's simple. The link will be in the description like they always are. If you want the link right now, then just go to the previous video. Go one of the previous videos. It'll be in the description. Not hard to find. Let's see. 90% of the people with a YouTube account don't. Yep, that's what it is. Oh, look at how fucking goofy you are. Look at how goofy you are. You know the percentages of YouTube. 90% of the blah blah. Shut up. The trolls always happen to fall into that category. The fake troll profiles, and they're always around the same age. Like they did this a long time ago. They set up all these profiles a long time ago so they could do this. So they could do their bot farming, interference. I mean, it's literally what they do. I've read you guys Team Jorge so many times, most of you probably know it by heart. There's act.il, which was literally an incentive program to do this. So they have the bots doing it, but then having the actual dumb people doing it too, they incentivize them to do this. Prizes and badges and all kinds of, hey, look what you did. Good job, buddy. Trying to interfere with using the provided talking points, which is, again, why they all say the same stupid shit. It's why them can actually engage in any of this stuff. Because it's, how can you? Who is going to argue with me when it comes to we should kill the pedophiles? Who is going to argue with me? I mean, even the chemtrail arguments. These are just stupid arguments. They literally have nothing to say. You know? It's pretending like it doesn't exist and then hearing me read the Wikipedia page about it sort of just kills everything. Your Y-O-U-R back online. I looked up part 99. They are not about submarines. Yep. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And why would anybody believe you when you can't even get yours right? What's your fake profile? I love how we have the same dumbass profile that just keeps telling other people, he talks about sex, he doesn't know, blah, blah, blah. Oh, autocorrect. Autocorrect put the wrong your in. I love when you're so much of a coward. You're such a dumbass coward. You lose all credibility when you say that shit. When you blame the computer for putting the wrong your in it, it changed it to the wrong your instead of just admitting you made a mistake. That just tells you everything you need to know about somebody. You know, this is all just, oh, I'm a rage baiter. Yep. Because, you know, if you get angry at the things I say, that's not because you're a dumbass. It's because I baited you into it. Look how fucking stupid you guys are, man. You gotta sit here and argue the Israel stuff? What is there to even argue? What can you possibly say in your defense? Nothing. Literally, you have nothing to say. Just like you Trump supporters have nothing to say in your defense. It's just full-on stupidity that comes my way. And it's the same stupidity that says things like, if you open up the books on Israel, you demonize Israel. Like, it's the kind of stupidity where they think they're actually saying something that works, when instead the thing they're saying just makes them look worse. You know, Trump saying that when asked if he had age limits, and he's like, well, I wouldn't sleep with a 12-year-old. What? Like, it's that kind of stupidity. He thought that was a good response. Normal people that hear that aren't like, oh, that's a normal response. He thought that was a good response because he's a fucking idiot. And that's the same thing here. They think these are good responses, when the reality is not one of them says we do need to unify and fucking overthrow this J menace that's been, you know, keeping us down forever, that looks at us as slaves, as goyim, as cattle. We absolutely need to end this disgusting pedophile thing that's just so prominent. It's shocking. It's scary. You don't hear them say anything along those lines. It's just dumb shit. It's just dumb shit. And now they think, like, if they say things like, oh, we got him talking about Israel again. When am I not talking about Israel? Like, to think that that these idiots think this manipulation works. That's what I'm saying. That's if you talk about Israel, you demonize Israel. Like, that's a level of stupid that you know, most people don't fall for. But it's the best they're capable of doing, because they're inbred, stupid pieces of shit. It's really that simple. They're so inbred that they really do think that what they're doing makes sense. You know, you're the bad guy if you don't believe that circumcision and then subsequently sucking on it is a good idea. And this is what they do over and over again. These profiles spend as much time as I do, as much time as I go live. They spend that same time just begging for my attention by saying the dumbest things, while literally proving the point. Like, they don't address what's being said. You know, they can't. Seriously, there's nothing you can do that's going to work against me. Even if I smoked all the meth, I ate all the crack, drank all the booze, shot up all the dope, you know, hit my wife, beat my kids, kicked my dog. Even if I did all those things, it wouldn't even come close to comparing to the genocide that's taking place right now. And you see, like, when you start putting the pieces together, you know, when you look up the Team Jorge's and the act.il's, and you just allow yourself to ask reasonable questions. Again, what regular person is going to be here, and out of all the things they could be doing, all the YouTube pages they could be watching, not only are they here, they're here every day mad because I think we should kill pedos and destroy the Israeli menace. Who the fuck is who's going to disagree with me so much so that they do that? You know? It's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing to think that the people that are behind these profiles that are desperately trying to come up with anything they can to distract and detract from the page. And they're so fucking stupid. They're so bad at it that these are the people we're losing to. These are the people that these are the chosen people. These are the ones that you know, we accommodate to do the worst fucking things. They're not smarter than us. They're not better at us than us at anything. They're just, you know, they're more sick than we are. They're the type that are willing to starve children. I mean, let's just say you have a neighbor that you don't like, right? And you happen to notice that that neighbor's kid is outside starving. They got locked out of their house. They're starving. They're crying. They're upset. Even though you don't like the neighbor, are you going to turn your back on the child? Well, I don't like your dad, so no, I'm not going to help you, kid. Would any of you say that shit? Yet this is what we're doing on a large scale. You know, this is how this works. The Israelis are, you know, you say, hey, that house is on fire. They say, well, what about all the other houses that are on fire? And you're like, no, I'm sure there are plenty, but we need to put that one out. And they're like, no, what about the other ones? There are other houses that are on fire. Why should we focus on that one? Like, that's how their thought process works. That's their logic. That's their reasoning. They don't deny anything. They don't explain anything. Their whole thing is telling you not to focus on it, not to talk about it. Why is the sky blue? Why is water? Why did you? So you're talking about water and the sky, two real things, and then you bring up Jesus. Good job. Ooh, he's scared of Ben Shapiro. Yeah, right. There's no way a Ben Shapiro would let someone like me on. Which you would think, if they were right, that would be the ultimate thing to do, right? If I'm wrong and crazy, Ben Shapiro bringing me on and just destroying every argument I make, not doing the talk over thing, not you know, being the douchebag, but literally letting me make the points I make, and then, you know, intelligently debunking them, destroying those points while on camera. So now there's this video that exists in perpetuity for forever and ever, that anytime anybody wants to bring up the same things I bring up, well, they can refer to this video where Ben Shapiro just destroys me, someone like me. You would think that would be the smartest thing to do. Plus, it would be a ratings blockbuster. And yet, you'll literally never see it. You will never, ever see any of these piece of shit J hosts engaging, addressing someone that like me. Most of the people that they address, as soon as they say, well, that's anti-Semitism, they go, oh, no, that's not what I'm saying. No. Instead of being like, you're using that word wrong, or actually agreeing. If they accused me of anti-Semitism, I would absolutely agree with them. Proudly. You are correct. I am opposed to supremacy. I know what that word means, and I oppose it proudly. So let's do some edumacating. And this is the only one I bother to actually do this with because it's just so important. So Semitism definition in the Google machine. Go to the Merriam-Webster definition, the Merriam-Webster page, Webster's dictionary, right? Semitism.
Semitism.
Okay, it's the Semitism page. Number 1A, Semitic character or qualities. Number 1B, a characteristic feature of a Semitic language occurring in another language. Number 2, policy or predisposition favorable to the bad guys.
Semitism.
Do you understand that? Policy or predisposition favorable, meaning the laws, the rules, the regulations, the way things, policies by which are by, along with the perception people have, initially, going into the discussion, going into the debate, going into the whatever. Always got to do the 3 thing, right? The predisposition is also favorable to this one group of people. Doesn't matter what's being said, doesn't matter what's being done. The laws, the rules, the regulations, and the perspective is going to be favorable to them. Which, when you look into this whole Epstein thing, Weinstein thing, Israel stuff, man, it all sure fits in with Semitism, doesn't it? Where policy and predisposition is favorable to them. Someone says you're anti-Semitic, you shouldn't be happy about that. You should say, hey, I'm absolutely in favor of those Palestinians. The only Semitic people in that conflict. New study came out recently showing that 95% of Israelis don't have any Semitic blood. They're Ukrainian. They are American. They're European. They are not from that region. So when they call Palestinians anti-Semitic, it's an insult to injury. You know what I think the worst thing is? The worst element of this whole genocide is the idea that for the Palestinians, the Israelis that bombed the shit out of everything they had and caused them to be in a position to where they have to swallow their pride and request aid. A situation that at every other time in modern history, the UN was in charge of distributing the aid and did a really good job at it. That has now suddenly been taken over by the people that caused you to need the aid in the first place. And now you have to get your aid from the people that tried to kill you by bombing you, who also happen to be known for poisoning water supplies and food sources and all that shit. They have to now decide whether they're going to let their children starve or fight for food that could be poisoned. You want to talk about the most fucked up element of this, man. I can't imagine. Actually, I can. I can to the slightest degree. Because here in the States, you make that choice on a regular basis. The food you buy, is poisoned. You know it is. And yet, what are you going to do? It's just not life fucking saving, the plight of the Palestinians is just unfucking thinkable. But you do have the slightest, smallest taste of it if you actually give a shit about what you feed your kids. And if you can multiply that times the giggity billion, well, you might have a little more sympathy than you do. Yep, Gaza's been functioning like a... Look at these dumbass responses. It's just stupid. It's like insultingly stupid to think that that's your argument oh, they're just this functioning little colony. You just don't know anything about the shit. You must be someone that's been following things since October 7th. And by following things, I mean your Fox News broadcast. You know, there's literally nothing reasonable, nothing good about the Israel narrative. The whole concept, the whole inception, the whole everything about it is just wrong and fucked up from the beginning. The idea that the Palestinians were initially offered 44% of their land while giving up 56% of their land. And because they weren't reasonable and took that offer, they end up losing 90% of their land. Violently. Like it's just, it doesn't seem like it's real. You know? It doesn't seem like there's no fucking way that's actually what happened. You know, there's no way that World War I, World War II were mainly about facilitating the creation of Israel. You know, they were about one guy being mad and then another. Oh, then there was the other guy, the German guy who just, he was just such a bad guy. He just didn't like them. The reason he didn't like them is because at one point he was an art student and some Jewish guy critiqued his art in a negative way, and that's why he did that. That's the whole backbone of the Holocaust, is because he was critiqued in a way that he didn't like. Like, that's literally the bullshit they give you. When there's all sorts of speeches, when translated, are like, look, they're basically, he's talking about the system that controls us now. That, you know, we are the salt of the fucking land. We are the good people. Why should they control us and live these amazing lives and put us into wars and do all that? Why should they get so much privilege, so much Semitism? And then, you know, the whole thing is just fucking bullshit to begin with. He's just an actor. The whole thing is just a fucking play. And it's all presented to you. You don't know. It's presented to you. And it doesn't match up. It doesn't stand up to scrutiny. And there's more than enough evidence to show you that. But, you know, I'm a liberal. I'm a liberal whiner. How dare I whine about American tax dollars being taken from us and given to another country to commit genocide against a foreign people? How dare I want liberties? Those damn liberals and their liberties. What do they think this is? Some kind of fucking republic? But that's generally like, you know, that's a fat white guy. Tiny, probably hasn't seen his tiny penis in years. And you know, balding and all this other shit. Like, he fits a complete stereotype. Damn whining liberals. Yeah. Same stupid ass. I don't want no gays in the bathroom with me, checking me out. All this sexiness. It's so fucking stupid. It's so stupid. Trump this, Trump that. You're obsessed with the Orange J. Am I? God, because it's not like I've been talking about Trump. I don't even know what you're talking about. Trump is just another actor. I don't know if you knew about it, but I was talking about your buddy Hitler. Trump is just the new version of it, but still the same shit. They just won't pull another, the Holocaust, where so many were supposedly killed, even though it's not provable in literally any fucking reasonable way. There's literally like he's nowhere near him, right? Nowhere near Hitler. Trump is nowhere near Hitler. Nothing like him. He's actually not. Hitler was you're just like the Hitler that you're given is similar to Trump. The Hitler that seemed to exist, at least in the alternative narrative, is again somebody who was standing against the occupation. Standing against the Semitism. It's liberal logic, yep. Liberal this, liberal that, Because, God, you can't compare two people. Why would you ever compare two people? You can't do that. Stop it. Stop it. We have one of these Trump supporters, one of these pedophile-loving, fucking genocide-supporting Trump supporters here. At this point, you are such a joke. Like, even though the Epstein thing to me is a distraction, it's really made this so much easier, right? Because at this point, Trump is a bad guy. Something really fucked up has gone on and was covered up and all that shit. That's why things are working out the way they're working. We promise we're going to give you these tapes. We promise the tapes are going to prove everything. And then they're just the bullshit. Like are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Isn't that Epstein? That's his name? I forget. Terrific guy. A lot of fun to be around. I didn't like him very much. But like at this point, if you're an admitted Trump supporter, dude, not only are you like not America first, clearly you don't believe in the America first bullshit because obviously it's Israel first. But you are supporting a pedophile. At the very, very least, a man who was associated with one of the most prolific pedophiles in modern times that's been caught, who covered him up and covered up the whole thing as much as he could. At the very least. It's just such an easy thing now. It's such an easy thing to fucking do now. Oh yeah, it's Obama. Obama and Biden, they made up the list. Now there is no list. Now, the list is there, but it's you can't read it because it's written in invisible ink. It's fucking insane. And at this point, you admitted Trump supporters, the shit that you're admitting to supporting is, I mean, fucking A, man. You are pedophile supporters. And people, you have to understand this. There are way, way, way more pedophiles than you realize there are. And it's simple math. Look at how many pedophile hunters you know exist. You personally know of on just YouTube or just on all the platforms put together. And you only know of a portion of them. You know a small portion of them. Some of these guys catch 3 and 4 people a day. Chris Hansen, his whole sting operation catches multiple 4, 5, 6 guys, 8 guys a day for a weekend or whatever. And that's just the people that have the compulsion to actually risk it and come, in person. For every one that shows up, hundreds have made contact. Hundreds and thousands are just millions can satisfy their urges by watching, disgusting videos or looking at pictures. So the amount of them that exist is really, it's so many more times more than what you are comfortable with thinking it is. It's so much worse. And it's those same people that are going to support Trump in this, that are willing to overlook, they have to look themselves in the face all the time and justify to themselves that they look at the worst things, that if given the opportunity to, they would probably do some really horrible shit to a child. So when it comes to excusing the president for doing similar shit, or worse, he still represents their racism. He still represents their sexism, their homophobia. He still represents all those things. And so what? He does the same thing you do. That's why you see so many of them on here trying to distract, trying to detract, trying to get me to stop talking about these things. Because that makes sense. Instead of us unifying and being like, we need to absolutely eradicate this shit, they're here trying to get me to stop talking about it while also talking about supporting Trump. It's the same people. They know if someone like me, especially me, were to get into a position of power, they'd be hunted down, they'd be killed. We would put every resource possible into ridding our country and essentially the world of this pedophile problem, killing as many of those people as we can so that we thin that herd, so we get rid of the people partaking, the people buying, the people, all that shit. They can track all that shit. They absolutely can. And if Gordon Flowers can catch a guy every day without government and, without the government resources, imagine what an unlimited budget could do, what $3.8 billion a year could do. Again, look at the comments, right? Look at the comments. Look at how none of them are talking about what I'm saying. None of them. It's all just dumb shit. Then there's the one that says, yes, it's so refreshing to hear you tell the truth about Israel. Someone else gets it. Sex offender registry is public knowledge. Calling somebody a bootlicker. Like, it's not slander if it's true. Like, this is one person that's actually addressing what's being said. Yeah. It's really fucking interesting how there's so many people on here that are just, they don't care. We don't care what you say. We don't care what you say, LOL. How can you say you don't care about what I do or say and you're here every day? Hours and hours begging for my attention. I mean, it's the same stupidity. Do you guys not see it? It's the, you open up the books on Israel, you demonize Israel level of stupid. It's thinking that they're saying shit that makes them look good when they don't realize that they're proving my point over and over again. Every comment. Thanks, man. Don't forget to get your free download. www.the-bilderberg.group.com. The link will be in the description, and it's in the previous video's descriptions. But it's music about this stuff too. We have to attack from every front. If you do art in some way, we'd love to work with you. We'd love to have you paint, if you paint, then film yourself painting a picture, and then we'll use it for a video, the whole process of you painting it. Something, sculpt, whatever. We'd love to help out other people who are in the same boat, who are tired of the being Goyim slaves, being the 2,800 slaves each of them believe they get. This fool worships Google. See, anytime you say anything other than addressing what I'm getting wrong, especially when you're here as the antagonist, you're basically proving that I'm right about what I'm saying. And you're just sort of desperately flailing, trying to come up with something that's gonna, I don't know. I don't even know what you think is happening. I can't imagine being on that side of things, being that stupid, that inbred, chosen stupid. I can't imagine. Right? Like such a weird thing. These are the Trumps, these are the pedos, man. It's the same shit. I don't think it's talked about enough. You know, it definitely needs to be brought up that Trump supporters at this point, there's a very good chance that they're pedos. And I mean, he's a Christian, right? His wife's a Catholic, supposedly. The handler, his wife, the boss. You screwed this up for us. I got lost in that one real quick. You can't reason with NPCs like that. They're not even NPCs. I mean, I guess they are, literally, I guess by definition, but these aren't real people. This is just bot bullshit. This is, well, avatar bullshit. These are just fake avatars. This is Team Jorge or reasonable facsimiles thereof. This is 30,000 bot profiles able to swarm on any given target. This is act.il, where real people are given incentives, prizes to come on here and, if they can get me to say their name, they get an extra bonus. If they get me to read their comments or they can distract in some way, they get bonuses for it. Literally, that's what act.il is. For a time, I was saying the same things and there wasn't the proof of it. Now the proof is there. It exists. This is what they get. This is, and this is when you get that personal touch of stupidity that comes through in certain profiles, is because they really are stupid. They really, they really are fucking inbred, stupid fucking people. Sometimes you're right, some things you're not. Yeah, well, what I always say, because I'm not some coward, is I appreciate that you think I'm right about things, but I really, I don't care. I'd much rather hear what you disagree with. What things do you think I'm wrong about? That's what's interesting. I don't need to be pat on the back. When you know you're right, you don't need the acknowledgement for it. I know I'm right. It's not about me being right. I represent what is right, but I don't get any benefit out of it. I'm not Palestinian in any sort of way, Middle Eastern in any sort of way. But yeah, tell me what I'm wrong about. I don't think I'm wrong about anything. Somebody says he wrong about supporting Biden over Trump. Yeah, because I bring that up. I'm always like, yeah, remember when I told you to vote for Biden over Trump? This is that desperation. This person literally could have said anything. And instead, they said something that's so obviously and easily proven bullshit. The only thing I've ever said about voting is don't do it. It's stupid. You're voting on, they're going to slap you in the face with the left hand or the right hand, and you're picking a hand because you think you're smart. Well, I know you're left-handed, so if I pick the right side, it's not going to hurt as much. It's just stupidity. Voting is the stupidest thing we do. No, it's not. But it's up there. It's up there. So for your first argument to be something that's so clearly wrong and provably wrong, go look at my videos every day from that time, where I literally would laugh at the Trump supporters who, because again, this is what you'll see, the same tactic over and over again. Because they can't argue what's being said, they say something they can argue. You know, they make shit up. At no point you'll ever hear me say anything about you should vote for Biden. But that's, you know, that's what they're gonna say because they have a prepared sort of argument for that. Kinda. And it's that tactic goes back to Israel. You know, you point out what Israel is doing and they go, yeah, well, what about the Chinese? The Chinese killed some people. You know, what about that? And you're like, yeah, well, okay, well, let's talk about what you're doing. Not talk about us. Look what's happening over there. They're doing something bad over there too. Look, why aren't you talking about that? Well, because I'm talking about this specific thing. Let's talk about this specific thing. Anti-Semitism. That's anti-Semitism. And because everybody's so programmed, again, they go, no, wait, that's not me. Instead of embracing it like, fuck yeah, I am proud to oppose supremacy, buddy. Now what? Wait, bro, you're not going to mention the Quran and how it's, see what I mean? Literally did the exact same thing I'm talking about. Wait, you're not talking about this one? Why aren't you talking about that one? You're not talking about the Quran. Thank you, dude. Thank you for being so stupid. I can't. It's not like you guys make this difficult on me. You end up making this easy. And then when it's like, look, we are losing to these fucking idiots. Are you serious? Right, they always call you anti-Semite, never a liar. They can't call you a liar. Their whole argument is to tell you not to talk about it. You can find any talking head discussion you want. There's that Abby chick that's really good at yelling at them. And every single time, they don't deny what she's saying. Or if they do, they'll just be, oh, that's just made up. That's not true. But they don't address any of it. They just tell you that you know, that you're just not allowed, you shouldn't say those things. You shouldn't be saying those things. That's anti-Semitism. You shouldn't be saying those things. That's literally all they have. And because they for so long they were able to program people that was a shutdown. That's like calling you a racist. That's like calling you some sort of horrible thing that you have. You're like, no, I'm not that. Yeah, again, this guy keeps trying to get me to talk about the Quran or acting like I somehow support the Quran or the Bible or any of these three Abrahamic religions. Like, this is the level of stupid we're dealing with. Right? All three are Abrahamic religions. They're all three, you know, given to us by the chosen. And to think like you would fall for either of them, either of the two that we're supposed to fall for, you're stupid. The Quran and the Bible are basically the same story. They just change some shit around a little bit. But it's all just the same stupid shit. Oh, I understand. Liberal, oh, here we go. Liberal logic, that's your issue. No God in your life. They see, at this point, he's run out of shit to say. He's frustrated, and now he's reverting back to, well, I'm telling my daddy. My daddy's gonna do this. My fake sky daddy's gonna do this. You're gonna have to answer for this one day. It's so fucking, it's so typical. It's so predictable. You know, it's embarrassing. And if anybody actually thought that you know, that this guy made sense, or that, like, I would love to hear from you. James, you can't even define liberal without Googling it. I mean, just look at the base of the word. Liberal means somebody who wants liberties. Who doesn't want liberties? I know most of the time, like most of the time it's fat white Christians who are mad because, you know, where's my freedom? How come I can't force people to have to sit through my prayers in a building and you know, my kids should be allowed to pray? How come the school isn't teaching the Bible stuff? Because, you know, like, okay, well, do you want them teaching Muslim stuff too? And do you want them teaching all of the different things or just your thing? Every time you see somebody with a sign that says protect our religious freedom in their yard, it's a Christian who's mad because their Christian supremacy is being challenged. It's just literally the stupidest shit, man. I'm a constitutionalist and I'm all for liberty, but liberal is not. You're a constitutionalist and you're a Trump supporter, huh? So never mind that First Amendment part though, right? Where Trump is literally destroying the First Amendment. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, the right to assemble, the right to redress our government, our grievances with our government. Literally all of that is being destroyed over Israel. But hey, you keep supporting your buddy there, right? Read the Talmud and see how evil it is. They won't. Understands and sees through my ignorance. I hope God is real and merciful, benign, blah, blah, blah. Like, you, again, you can hope and pray all you want. You don't know it. Just go look up what they tell you to know about it to begin with. Just go look up the narrative that's behind what you believe. Liberal, liberty, libertarian, blah, 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 liberal, free. The Talmud says non-Jews are less than beasts. Exactly. If you eat dinner with a Gentile, you might as well be eating with a dog. But probably the most important one. Well, and then there's the if a Gentile has sex with a child, that's rape and they should be killed. If a J does it, as long as the girl is 3 years and 1 day old, he is then required to pay her full dowry, and now she sort of belongs to him. Not as a marriage, but kind of like, but she belongs to him. That's what the Talmud says. But it also says that each one of them will have 2,800 Gentile slaves when the Messiah arrives. Well, it sure seems like if you take that not as a literal, because there's literally no way that one of them, a small little, hey, stop it over there. Woody Allen. Think about Woody Allen being in control of 2,800 people. How would he physically do that? How would he not get overrun? So I think what it's actually something that means in order for their lives to exist, where they get free housing, free food, free medical, free education, free everything, free cars, free houses, all that shit. It requires 2,800 of us to be taxed, to be working, to be, you know, the guys cooking the French fries, the guys fixing the cars, all that. For each one of them to live their super privileged life, it requires around 2,800 of us. And if you look, man, that is very, you know, we're getting towards the population number. And seemingly the way they want to sort of bring things down, the number that they want to sort of bring things down to. But it takes about 2,800 of us to provide them with their ultra privileged life. And I think that's, you know, that's what we're literally seeing without the idea of the Messiah coming back, which is just bullshit. To me, Judaism was invented in the late 18s. And it was a control mechanism put in place to be the control system. Hebrew was invented in the late 1800s, early 1900s by a guy called Eliezer ben Yehuda. It's the youngest language on the planet. It's not even a theory. It's the truth. Now they'll tell you it was revived by Ben Yehuda in the 1900s or in the late 18s, early 19s. But revised, why did it need to be revised? Why revived? Sorry, why did it need to be revived? Where did it go? An entire language disappeared, even though there's supposedly thousands of Hebrew scripts that exist all over the place from as far back as history, blah, blah, all this shit that you're told, right? Well, then why did the language have to be revived in the early 1900s? It doesn't make any sense. And are we to say that there's all of these scriptures, all of these books, all this other Hebrew stuff that exists, but not one dictionary existed? Because Eliezer ben Yehuda made the first Hebrew dictionary, according to the narrative. Yeah, all that Bohemian Grove, sacrifice to Moloch, all that shit, that's all just distraction. That's why you know about it. That's why you're allowed to talk about it. I could make a fucking video all day about Bohemian Grove. Alex Jones was right. Alex Jones is this. Alex Jones is that. He's the best. Look at Bohemian Grove. Bohemian Grove. There's pictures and there's a really grainy video that shows a statue across from a fucking lake and you hear some screaming. Literally no proof of anything but some weirdo shit. But again, I could make videos all day about Bohemian Grove and there'd be no censorship, there'd be no interference. Bohemian Grove is the distraction that they give us. There's only one thing we're not allowed to talk about. There's only one group that you get in trouble for talking about. Literally, the fucking Constitution is being basically ratified to accommodate this one group. You're allowed to protest the United States, but you're not allowed to protest Israel. Like, it's the craziest shit. So do you think they kill and abuse children? I don't think. I know they do. I know they do. It's part of the history that they give us. Like, the thing is, you can't believe the history you're given, right? As this 100% truth. However, when the history is about the controllers and it paints them in a bad light, well, you know it has some truth to it. Because what you're experiencing is the best way they can spin it. And it still makes them look like shit. So you have to think there's probably some truth to that. However, you also have to be intelligent. I started today by reading about the Empire State Building, built in just over 400 days in 1931. 102-story fucking skyscraper that's ornate from top to bottom was built in a year. Little over a year, in 1931, in New York, where it's wintertime for 6 months of the year. Like, the whole premise behind it is fucking nonsense. And it extends to so many buildings, so many, the world's fairs, star forts. Star forts are the craziest fucking shit, and it just gets overlooked like it's nothing. The Star Fort that's off the coast of Florida, St. Frederick or whatever it is. I don't remember what it's necessarily called, but that shit is fucking, it's impossible. It's just impossible, especially by the standards of, the people from hundreds of years ago. But that's when you start to question, all of it. All of it. How do we know that any of the history we're given is true? How did the people, in the 18s and the 20s, or in the 18s and the early 19s, dig all the tunnel systems and subway systems and all the shit that exists underneath the ground that's supposedly been there since around the time? How the fuck did they do all that? How did they build the buildings? So you when you understand that they're clearly lying to you about, at the very least, the construction element of history, well, how do you be arrogant enough to think, well, I'm smart enough to know which part of those historical things they're telling me are true and which ones are lies? That's when you have to put your arrogance down and grab a hold of your fucking ego and be like, you know what? I'm going to call it all a lie. If they're lying to me about one thing, they're potentially lying to me about everything else. And, you'll never hear me sitting there quoting Alex Jones or some conspiracy page. I literally read from the narrative they want us to know. Wikipedia is their number one source of information in the world, and they control it. So it might not be 100% true, but it's the narrative they want us to have. Oh, we have another pedophile here. Cole, you're a pedophile, right? You support Trump, meaning you're a pedophile. That's basically what it comes down to anymore. If you still support this piece of shit, it's because you're a pedophile too. We get it. You support a pedophile. If you support a pedophile, you do it for only one reason I can think of. You guys are so dumb in the head. There you go. That's what he's gonna do. Pedophiles, man. They're everywhere. I'm telling you. These are the guys that they might not be actually abusing children, but they're looking at fucking videos that most of us would puke if we saw. They're trading pictures with people. That's who these pieces of shit are. That's why they support Trump, because they're like, Katie Johnson probably wanted it. He literally said, well, I wouldn't want to be with a 12-year-old, like, what's his name? When asked if he had age limits. He wasn't like, are you kidding me? I'm 52 years old, 54 years old, whatever he was at the time. I'm not sleeping with fucking anything less than, I guess, 18, which would still be fucking gross. But he was being asked if he can still sleep with 24-year-olds, and he was like, I have no problem whatsoever. Oh yeah, I making it sound like he's banging 24-year-olds all the time. And then they asked, well, do you have an age limit? And he said, no, I don't have. Well, I don't want to be with like a 12-year-old like that guy. That was his fucking I'm a normal person response, right? And if any of you still defend him after hearing that shit, it says more about you. Like, I don't expect any of these Trump supporters to be like, oh shit, you got me. You're right, I do trade in child exploitation materials. I did fuck with my niece that one time. Like, they're not gonna come on here and say that shit. What do you, does anybody think that's even remotely a possibility? No. They're gonna come on here and try to detract. They're gonna come on here and it's like how the MAGA hat used to represent racist. You rock the MAGA hat, you're probably a racist or some dumb Uncle Tom or an actor. But now that shit is switched to, you proudly support pedophiles. You proudly support at the very least, the protection of a pedophile and their pedophile network. You wished Ghislaine Maxwell well. I hope I wish nothing but good things for her. We don't disagree with you, but you want Biden? Says again, some dumbass, because that's the best they can do. That's literally the best they can. It's already even been answered, and that's the best they can come up with. You know, they're not sitting here going, we're not fucking pedophiles. How dare you say that shit about me? Blah, blah. They don't say anything like that. That's fucking, that's libel. That's fucking slander. You can't say that about me. I'm not a fucking pedo. Fuck that. I think they should all die. Blah, blah. They don't say anything like that. They say dumb shit like, well, how does life with a single brain sound? You made that Trump one, so you complain daily. Most people that aren't pedophiles, if you call them a pedophile, they don't think, well, let me just talk about something else. They're going to immediately attack you for fucking saying such a horrible thing about them. They just keep proving it. That's why I allow them to be here. I am their God, and I allow them to be here. Because all they do is prove the point. They're just disgusting. They're disgusting fucking little weasels, man. And they're so inbred and stupid that they don't realize that they're getting trapped by their own shit. It's Trump 101, man. Oh, now people around this dude are gonna call the guy. Like, look, this guy's not denying that I called him a fucking pedo. I explained how he might not fucking actually touch children, though he might. But he trades in pictures and shit like that. Videos. And he didn't deny a single bit of it. He just tried to change the subject. He asked, well, why does supporting Trump make me a pedo? How does that logic work? And then when explained, he changed the subject. You guys, this is actually a hidden sort of thing I think we stumbled across here. Birds of a feather flock together. And all of these people that are willing to overlook the idea that Trump was associated with this motherfucker and at the very least has done nothing but cover it up. At the worst, he's an active participant, which is very, very likely and obviously true, indicted under all this bullshit, blah, 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 blah. The Katie Johnson story. Enough. But you guys are overlooking that. Could you imagine if that was Obama? Like, you guys have to make up this bullshit about Michelle being a man and all this other crazy shit to satisfy your kinky urges. But Trump literally being associated with all of this and then covering it up, you still support him? You trade in fucking pictures. You're a piece of shit. Right? You're a motherfucking disgusting piece of shit. You are one of these millions of people trading in these images and hitting up little girls on the fucking the IGs and shit. I don't know, the chat rooms and shit. I don't fucking know. That's you guys. And now I've found a way to actually prove it. I've actually found a way to out you guys in a pretty undeniable way. You know, if you're not a pedophile and you understand that Trump is associated with pedophilia, you're like, fuck that guy. I can't support that guy. There's a lot more of them than we think, and we need to start outing them. So I gotta bounce. Go get your free download, www.the-bilderberg, BILDERBERG hyphen. You know what? I don't gotta go anywhere. I'll just have my driver take me, and it'll be all good. Oy vey. Gosh, there we go. Oy vey. Daniel. Daniel. I know. Here, you can have the phone. Oh, Jesus. You're so needy. Hi. Hi, baby girl. Yep. All right, I love you, dude. I'll be back. Pick up your brother. Bye. Going to get Nick. Did you get gas? Yeah, well, shouldn't I put more than that in there? I'll stop. I'll just stop. All right. Come on, driver, let's go. I like having a driver. Do. Let me walk around the car. Okay, now I am getting in the car. It is backwards because of the way the camera works. All right, driver, you know where to go. Yeah, well, if you don't hate Trump as much as me, you're not paying attention. And we're talking about a pedophile. Once we start getting into the pedophilia stuff, I mean, it's really hard to say what's worse, pedophilia or genocide. And I'm not going to be one to decide that. They're equally bad. And in the Trump situation, you literally have both. You have a pedophile who is in charge, or at least facilitating the genocide. Belch. It's time, man. It's time that we unify and overthrow this horrible situation before it's too late. I mean, I think the women are the key to the revolution. That's why they spent, decades pushing women down and making women feel like they're less than, and confusing women. This notion that equality means you're out of the house and not being a good mother, raising your children, taking care of your house, that is somehow a lesser than position. That's worse than the man who's out there working the slave job he hates. Like that's such a brainwash. That's such a motherfuck. You're not a real person unless you have a slave job. And they've done everything they can to make women, they've objectified them. They've done all this shit, but the confusion part is the worst part, because it makes us end up hating each other. You present us with the WNBA and then make claims like the WNBA is just as good as the NBA. They put out just as good a product as the men do. And anybody that's ever watched basketball, you can't possibly watch the WNBA and think it's good. It's unintentionally hilarious, but it's terrible. They're fucking terrible at what they do, especially compared to what the men do. The idea that some huge broad reaches up and barely slams the basketball being this monumental thing, it's just a fucking terrible joke. And it's what they've always done. Like that's how they do that to us. They make us hate each other over that shit. Force me to watch this women's wrestling is so fucking bad. I can't stand it. I know it seems weird to be like, no, I want to watch my greased up muscled man pretend to fight each other. But if I am going to watch pretend fighting, I want it to actually be like it you know, superhero level, like doing things that you go, I couldn't do that. That shit would hurt. And what the women do is just a joke. And the thing is, you know, like I don't believe women should be cops. I think that puts us all in danger. And it's, you know, it's because I support you guys. It's because, like, I definitely don't think women who are on their period should be out making decisions that you know, drastically affect people's lives. I've been with a couple of girls in my life, and including my mom in this scenario, not as being with her, but including growing up with my mom. And I can say unequivocally, women in their periods are insane. They change drastically. And maybe not every single woman does, but most of them do. And most women, all women, can acknowledge, or at least should be able to acknowledge, that there's been at least one time in their life where they've had to excuse some irrational, fucked up behavior and be like, sorry, I was on my period, I was a little bitchy that day, or I was a little irrational that day, or whatever. And they totally should be. They have a bunch of hormones, they got a bleedy fucking seat, you know, they're sitting in a fucking, with a tampon shoved up their shit, or on a fucking wet diaper pad full of blood and shit. That's disgusting. They got cramps. You know, this shit is ridiculous. Do I think you should be out there potentially getting in foot chases with people who, if they get away from you, then we're all in danger? Because who knows what, if they're willing to run from the cops, they're willing to take a hostage, they're willing to, who knows what else they're willing to do. But I don't want to have to deal with them because you couldn't keep up, you know, you couldn't keep up. You're not physically stronger than men, so you can't do anything anyway. I can show you endless videos of women cops failing at their job. You can't find me a single fucking video where a female cop has to deal with an aggressive, violent suspect, and alone they come out on top. You'll never see it. And it's, you know, again, it's because I totally respect what you're going through. And I wouldn't expect, if I was going through anything similar where I was literally bleeding for 5 days and out of my crotch, and I was all fucking cramped up, and I, you know, had all these fucking weird hormones and shit, and I could taste metal, and, you know, my stomach hurt. I wouldn't expect to have to go to work every fucking, do some physical crazy shit. And at the same time, you know, how is it fair that female judges exist? If I can't say, you know, if I get some irrational ruling and I'm like, what the hell? And everybody's like, what the hell? Well, I'm not allowed to figure out, was she on her period when she made that irrational ruling? And would she still make the same ruling if she wasn't on her period? Now, I know after the fact, if given she would, to save face, to be like, my period didn't affect anything, you can't go back and retry it. You know, you're still going to get the, you know, she's going to have to save face. But the idea that some woman has control over my life, especially in some sort of domestic divorce kind of situation where I don't know if that bitch is on her period. You gotta be fucking kidding me. I shouldn't be able to I shouldn't. That's not fair. I think women can do all kinds of things. Engineers, software designers, fucking, I mean, doctors, lawyers. Although, again, the last thing I would want is my surgeon to be going through severe cramps or goddamn menopause. Menopause is insane. So to think like a woman is out there in charge of really serious situations and life or death situations, and she could be going through a fucking hot flash. She could be going through any sort of menopausal mood swings and shit. Are you kidding me? We're just supposed to pretend like that doesn't exist? We're supposed to accommodate it when you guys want us to. When you need more sympathy or you need an excuse for something, you get to use it to your full advantage. And we're very understanding of it. Yeah, okay, well, you are bleeding from your crotch and blah, blah, blah. I can understand why you might be a little testy at the time. That's totally okay. That's totally fair. But if we dare to say that maybe you're being irrational or you made an irrational decision because of that same thing we have sympathy for, then I'm misogynistic as shit, blah, blah, blah. You know how crazy that is? I respect the fuck out of women, man. I think in most cases, they can do the same job men can do. But I've seen far too many times female cops fail at their job. Female cops, illegally arrest somebody or whatever because they couldn't handle the shit talk that person was saying. They clearly had some sort of goofy chip on their shoulder. I can show you endless videos of that shit. Well, I can't show them to you offhand because I don't have videos saved and clipped like the weirdos who watch me. But I can say you can find them. It's extremely easy to find videos like that. And that to me is terrifying. I don't, your equality doesn't override my safety. And safety includes physical safety, but socially safety. And my rights being adhered to and all that shit. That's fucking crazy. And I don't know how we have equality without talking about those issues and not addressing those issues. And just because as a woman you don't want to acknowledge that shit, you don't like that. Like the idea that women, I'm sorry you don't like the idea that you are secondary citizens in the physical respect. Like I'm sorry. The payoff is that you get to have the babies. You get to experience that unbelievable natural thing that's the reason why we're all here. You get to feel the child grow inside of you and all we don't get to feel that. And I can't imagine anybody taking me seriously if I was like, I'm gonna have a baby and these people, I think I can have a baby. I'm a man. Men can do anything women can do. And you can't discriminate against me if I say I'm gonna have a baby and you say I'm not. How dare you not say I'm like, that would be insane. Nobody would entertain that shit. But I could tell you, there was like a couple of girls. One girl was named Susie. She reminded me of the Icebox from Little Giants. The fact that they called her the Icebox is just disgusting. It's fucking gross. That movie Little Giants is fantastic, but that one little piece of it is fucking disgusting. Whoever thought that was a funny little meta joke, probably some dumb J, is a piece of shit. Icebox, a little 12-year-old girl called the Icebox. Fucking gross. But we had, I could think of like her, who absolutely became a lesbian when she got older. Brandy Bernard was this girl. She was actually attractive. I don't know if she seemed lesbianish, but she was actually decent looking. Not like like Susie looked like Rosie O'Donnell as a kid. She was a not attractive girl. But Susie could play like hockey. She could play football. Like she was a rough and tumble chick in 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade. She wasn't faster than anybody else. Any of the, other than the goofy, like, weak boys. She wasn't, like, exceptional in any regard, but she was much better than any girl. But she couldn't beat any boys in anything outright. Like, she wasn't the best athlete in any one category compared to the boys. And that's just a reality. That's not some sort of discrimination or like the fact that women need me to pretend like they can compete with me. In my fucking prime, in my 20s, women aren't gonna beat me in a bunch of shit. Maybe the best, maybe, professional women's basketball player would do decent against me, probably. In my 20s, she might even be able to beat me. A pro, yeah, maybe. The problem being, I can jump really high, at least I could. So she'd have a real hard time getting off any shots. And, I know, like, physically, like, there are, like, Taekwondo bitches champions that would absolutely kick my ass. That's what they do. I'm not a professional fighter. But it's been shown time and time again that the best professional women's fighter, when put up against a man that's, very, low-level trained, she loses. She fucking loses. Because we're different, and that's okay. I don't understand why that's such a negative for women. Never in the history of my house has there been a noise downstairs and my wife was like, "You stay in bed, sweetheart, I'll go check it." This is not how that shit works. And that's what equality is. Women don't really want equality. Equality is the WNBA doesn't sell out. Nobody watches it. Nobody actually really likes it. And yet it's still on TV. It's still a thing. It's still a league. It's still being pushed on us, and we're supposed to believe that Caitlin Clark is the white girl Michael Jordan. Stupid. But equality is, hey, your product doesn't survive on its own without at least $10 million in donation from the men's league. We're not going to keep this shit going. If you don't produce, you don't exist. That's not how things work. That's what it is to be a man. If you're a man and you're not good enough at your job, or somebody else is better than you, you don't get that job just because, well, you look good in a pair of shorts. Well, we want to be equal here. We want everybody to get a fucking participation ribbon. I have no problem with women's basketball. Let them have a little fucking league and all this other shit. The fact that it's forced on me, like I'm supposed to accept it as being this high quality endeavor. The fact that my fucking TV shows are interrupted for that bullshit. The fact that I can't be honest about it, I can't laugh and talk about how ridiculous it is, and they go, yeah, but, we're trying hard, we're getting better as we go, but yeah, we are kind of shitty at this. That's the part I can't stand. Women should get paid just as much as men. The female basketball players should get paid just as much as the men. They put out just as good a product. Bullshit. I watch basketball because I want to see giant men doing things I can't imagine doing. Flying through the air and slamming it down so hard that I'm like, how does that not hurt your fucking hand and wrist? There's a dude I went to school with, Rory Dunnebeck. Pretty sure he was a Jew. He broke both of his hands trying to slam it. He could jump high, so he always swore he could slam it, and everybody would like egg him on. And he tried once and he hit the rim so hard he broke his hand, or maybe he hit and fell down and broke his hand. And while he had the cast on, he said he could do it with both hands. So they egged him on again, and he did it and broke his other fucking wrist. Am I supposed to pretend like Rory Dunnebeck could fucking slam it just because he said he could? And, you know, it's just stupid. It's stupid. And Rory, because he was a dude, like, he got ripped to pieces. I'm sure I'm not the only person that literally only remembers him for that. You know? That's his legacy as far as, you know, I'm sure a few people go. And granted, he's probably done great things in his life. I'm not knocking him. That's just what I remember him for. As a dude, that's how it works. You fucking fall on your face, you break your fucking shit, trying to be a badass, everybody laughs at you and remembers you for that. Women don't want that equality. They want you to pretend like, no, look, they can do it. Don't laugh because they fell and busted their ass. That's not nice. Holy shit. Something bad went down here. Whole fucking neighborhood's blocked off. That's crazy. Go, man. Oh, you can't. My bad. I mean, you could have if you made the turn properly. People are stupid. You know, as always, it comes down to the same shit. If I'm wrong, you could easily prove it. You could easily tell me how I'm wrong and tell me why everything's okay, and I'm just a bad guy because I give a shit about women. I think what they go through is exquisite and fucking and you know, I can't possibly know the full-on extent of it, but I know the idea of it is just cringy as fuck. Not something I would want to go through. And like, I don't expect you to perform at your best during those situations. It's fucking silly, man. So anyway, it's like the revolution is all encompassing. It's not just one piece or another piece. We can't fix the situation unless we fix all of it. And the equality issue is something that absolutely needs to be fixed. The last thing I ever want to see is a female firefighter or a female cop in any sort of situation where like I need them, you know. If I was a bad guy, I'd absolutely want to see a female cop. If I'm out in the middle of nowhere and I got 2 strikes against me and I got a car full of shit that can put me in prison forever, and the only thing preventing me from you know, this and a lifetime of jail is fucking smashing the cop, you better believe I'm gonna fight back against a woman way before I fight back against a bitch. roided out, crazy ass white boy cop motherfucker. Anyway, as always, fuck everything Israel. Fuck these horrible, horrible pieces of shit people. They are the absolute worst, and it's unquestioned. It's without a doubt. And until the Goyim unify and overthrow the J system that controls us, we're gonna be stuck fighting each other, being slaves, not pushing the equality we need. So, as always, go get your free download, www.the-bilderberg-group.com. It's free. It's amazing. It's the best music you haven't heard yet. And it talks about the stuff that needs to be talked about. If you're sick of all the teeth and shoes and hoes and bitches and kills and guns and niggas and shoots and drugs and that kind of bullshit music, Bacardi, party, party, Bacardi, Bacardi, party, party, Bacardi. If you're sick of that, go check us out. Go watch Hollywoodism, the most important video ever made. The most important piece of film ever made. Hollywoodism. It tells you everything you need to know. And there'll be 3 links to our videos on Facebook. COVID Sauce, Donald Trump Hates America, and Sleight of Hand Job, newest songs. Check everything out, share everything, like, share, sub here, do all of it. I mean, it's fucking simple shit, man. It's the same thing everybody else says, because it works, because it helps. And more than anything, we need to let people know, we need to let the system know that we're not going to fucking take it. We're not going to be their dumb pawns anymore, and we're not going to accept their genocide, we're not going to accept their pedophilia. We're done. We're the unified Goyim force that they need to watch out for. And until we do that, we're fucked. So, have yourself a wonderful day. And most importantly, you pedophiles, you kill yourself.